Hello, Scream Demons, and welcome to the Screams from the Basement podcast with Sam and Casey.
The scariest horror podcast on this side of the Black Lagoon. Screams from the Basement discusses the best not just double features, the best double features the genre has to offer.
We also interview the industry's finest that make our screams become nightmares. I am one of your creepy co-hosts. I'm Casey.
I'm Sam the Damned, and let's get screaming. Let's get monkeying around.
Ooh, ooh, ah, ah. We're monkeying around on this episode as we're talking a monkey-themed double feature because we are talking about the brand new release. First time in a while we've done a double feature on a brand new release. We're talking Oz Perkin's The Monkey and George A. Romero's Monkey Shines.
Yeah. You know, we had an episode kind of fall through at the end of the month, and we were going to call an audible. And so we planned an audible. And then we decided not to go with that audible for reasons we might explain later in the episode.
Yeah, we'll explain later. So this episode's an audible to the audible.
Yeah. And I'm glad we're doing this though, because I mean, spoiler alert, Casey, you and I cackled throughout the entirety of The Monkey. I think both of us really enjoyed that, and we'll talk about that experience. But
it was an experience.
It was an experience. It was one of the best theatrical experiences I've had in a while. And so we were like, well, let's do something with The Monkey. And what better movie to pair with The Monkey than 1988's Monkey Shines by George A. Romero?
Yeah. Do these movies have anything in common besides both their posters being toy monkeys?
Not really.
Not really. But they're both a wild, fun time at the movies. They're both so much fun. And yes, we 100% did this because our thumbnail can have two toy monkeys, one banging some cymbals together and the other one banging a drum.
Yeah, which the cymbal monkey does not even appear in Monkey Shines. It's kind of hilarious. Like, it's not even about a toy monkey. It is about a real monkey.
It's about a real monkey. And we're going to talk about that real monkey. We're going to kick things off first and foremost with Monkey Shines, An Experiment in Fear. And then we'll move on to The Monkey because we got to give people time. This is a new release. I believe it's the number one movie at the this past weekend's box office as well, if I'm not mistaken.
It should be, anyways. Let's
I'll let you look that up. But yeah, it's been a big year for horror so far, and I feel like we're just going to continue on that train, especially with The Monkey, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, yes, it is. It was number one this past weekend.
Oh, this says it is the best horror opening weekend in 2025 so far.
Okay.
By quite a bit, actually, by almost 5 million. Come on. Where's the rest of the
Box Office Mojo, pal?
The Hollywood Reporter. It says
Box Office Mojo.
But Box Office Mojo is now almost unreadable. Let's see. Latest weekend. The Monkey was technically second behind Captain America Brave New World.
Yeah.
But Captain America Brave New World had a 70% drop.
Woo!
And that's pretty rough.
Rough.
So yeah, but The Monkey opened with 14 million this weekend, which is a solid opening weekend number for a movie as unabashedly R-rated as this one is.
100%. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll get to that one in a few beats here, but first we're going to talk about George A. Romero's 1988 film Monkey Shines, An Experiment in Fear, written and directed by George A. Romero. After becoming paralyzed in a freak accident, prolific runner Alan must learn a new way of life in his wheelchair when his scientist brother, all of us have scientist brothers, don't we? Jeffrey introduces him to Ella, a superior primate companion who attaches herself to the vulnerable Alan. and that is Monkey Shines: An Experiment in Fear. So, Sam, this is a first time watch for both of us. I
Yeah,
didn't know what
yeah,
to expect going in. I read the synopsis of It's a Real Monkey. Knew George A. Romero directed the film. I had an absolute blast with this movie. This movie is so much fun.
yeah.
It reminds me, I know it's not based on a Stephen King story, but this has total King Romero vibes of when those two work together.
It really does. Like it really has the same vibe as those like that glut of like Dino De Laurentiis like Stephen King adaptations of this era. And maybe it's just because it's from 88, but I'm like, this fits right alongside things like Cujo and like even there's a little bit of
Creep
even
show.
misery in this
Yeah.
to an extent. If Annie Wilkes was a demented super smart monkey.
Monkey. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Ella Wilkes, that's her last name. I named her Ella Wilkes now, the monkey.
That makes sense.
I love this movie. I do agree that it is a lot of fun. I think the ending is devastating, and this is the most tragic monkey love story since King Kong.
Since Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. Where
Yeah.
Helena Bottom Carter, not Hel, yeah, right?
Yeah, Helena
Yeah.
Bonham Carter.
Yeah, doesn't get a bang Mark Wahlberg in that movie.
Ugh,
It's heartbreaking.
tragic.
Heartbreaking stuff. Speaking of heartbreaking stuff, let's jump into this movie, because like I said, the movie starts off with Alan. I mean, okay, before it even gets to Alan, it just starts off with this like hot and heavy sex scene.
Yeah.
Between Alan and his wife. We get female nudity, we get male nudity as well.
Yeah.
Get the lady butts and the male butts.
Yeah, Alan's a looker. He's taking very good care of himself.
He sure is. I mean, he's a runner.
Yeah. He's sculpted.
Who plays Alan? I gotta pull up the actor's name. Jason
Bega?
Beige?
Beige?
I want to talk about him for a second.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's another reason why this feels like those late 80s, early 90s King adaptations. He's not very good in this movie.
No.
But it adds to the charm.
Yes. I think that's like most of the performances in this. Most of the performances in this are pretty hammy, are pretty like stilted. Some of the dialogue is kind of like, what? Like, how do you even pull this off realistically as an actor? But that's also kind of what a lot of movies, especially genre movies, were at this time. Like, if you weren't a slasher, you were usually a pretty melodramatic, like soap opera horror movie. And that's exactly what this is. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for those like melodramatic soap opera type movies, and that's probably why I dig this one so much, because it has that like, it reminded me a lot of Thinner in a way, of just like the tone and how everyone is portraying these characters.
Yep,
like it definitely has that vibe to it. So Alan, who is this runner, gets immediately just like smoked by this truck and goes flying in the air.
Yeah, and they're like bricks.
Slow-mo.
For some reason. There are bricks flying around.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't see a brick anywhere near him, but all of a sudden he's flying through the air with a bunch of bricks. I'm like, was the bus made of bricks? Was he carrying bricks?
He was made of bricks. Maybe.
He was made of bricks, maybe. Yeah. That's, I don't know. It was crazy. The way the crash scene, the bus hit was edited, like, kind of made me laugh, actually.
Yeah, it was pretty funny how they edited it together.
Yeah.
Again, super melodramatic.
Yeah.
So he ends up in a wheelchair. He's completely paralyzed from the neck down. He ends up in this wheelchair where the only way he can control the wheelchair is using this almost like remote control stick that he puts in his mouth that he can use to control the wheelchair.
Yeah.
And while he's in a coma, he ends up growing the worst fake beard I've ever seen.
It's such a bad fake beard. It's not even the same color as his hair.
doesn't even last in this movie. It's literally there so they can shave his face and then introduce a razor blade.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's pretty much all it's there for. Like, I don't know. It's pretty unnecessary, I guess, to show the passage of time. But during that passage of time, his wife ends up banging Dr. Stanley Tucci.
Yeah, who is the one who told him he's paralyzed with no hope of ever walking again. Yeah. Yeah. Stanley Tucci's kind of a scuzzball in this.
Well, yeah, we got to talk about Dr. Tucci for a second.
I didn't even recognize him at first.
He has hair. Stanley Tucci has hair, very much balding at this point in 1988. Somehow looks older than he does in like 2008.
Yeah.
In this movie.
He's aged remarkably well.
He has.
Yeah.
I'm curious how old the Tucci is, because this is 88. Maybe he just balded. Like,
Stanley Tucci is 64.
Okay. So he was born.
So he was born in 28. He'd be 28.
28.
He was born in 1960.
He looks like he was 48 in this movie.
Yeah. Insane. It's amazing what just like clean shaving your head will do, because he looks so much younger just like that. Like,
he has a complete receding hairline, bald spot, everything. He's a bit of a smart ass doctor, know-it-all doctor, who bangs his patients' wives like while they're in a coma.
While they're in a coma.
What a scuzzball. Alan, then they throw like this party for him coming home, put together by his wife. Like, I still think they're married at this point.
Yeah, they're still married, but like, because
she doesn't live with him. She barely visited him in the hospital, is what we're told. She's very clearly with the doctor at this point. It's a very weird situation that isn't fully spelled out. Besides, like,
this is where they're
married.
I know that this is George Romero doing like a studio horror film, and to me, this very much feels like one of those things that maybe when the studio took it from him and recut it, because that is a thing that happens, like they edited it without his knowledge. It feels like this is one of those things that maybe that edit screwed up. Like, maybe there was more at a certain point and it just got cut along the way. Because I also read somewhere that his initial script was like 240 pages for this, which is an insane...
Romero, what are we doing?
It's an insane length for a script about a killer monkey.
It's a novel, Romero.
I love this movie, but like the amount of subplots and convolutions in this is insane. Like, I'm just like, it's a killer monkey movie. What are we doing?
That might be why the studio took it away from you.
Yeah, it could be.
Which I'm okay with. Like, I don't notice that in this movie, like, at all. Like, no. I feel like there's definitely stuff cut from the movie, but I think they do a great job of...
It still feels whole.
Streamlining all of that stuff. Because another subplot is with his brother Jeffrey, who's kind of this... He's the eccentric, estranged brother of Alan, who works as a scientist at some university and has this beef with the dean of the school, played by Stephen Root, in his first feature film.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. Not enough Stephen Root in the movie. Maybe my biggest complaint of the movie. Not enough with him.
Yeah, he should have a bigger role for sure.
But yeah, they have like this almost like Ghostbusters vibe to the, like, this feels like a Ghostbusters rip of like, hey, we're scientists at the university doing kind of crazy experiments we shouldn't be doing, but we're still here at the university. In this case, Jeffrey is experimenting on the monkeys that they have at this university and using this experimental drug on them to try to enhance their brain function, make them smarter, make them more akin to Homo sapiens.
Yeah. It's so like it's that typical 80s, like, I have this lime green serum that makes people smarter.
Yeah, I'm a scientist with glasses and I use this serum on people. Total Herbert West vibes.
Yeah, 100%, especially in the third act.
Yeah. Not overacting like a Herbert West or the doctor from Frankenhooker.
Yeah, no, not until the very end.
Yeah,
We'll get into his final scene, and then he's like nuts.
yeah.
Uh,
So during this, I'm trying to figure this part out. So we meet. Did I write down the new love interest name? I don't know if I did.
Melanie. It's Melanie Parker.
Melanie.
Played by Kate McNeil.
So Jeffrey goes to Melanie's house, and she has a bunch of monkeys like on her farm. And she's also doing experiments with them. She's not like injecting them with serum, but she's basically training these monkeys to do certain tasks for people in wheelchairs.
Yep. Yeah, she's like a monkey trainer, not necessarily like a scientist, but like she trains monkeys to help para and quadriplegics. And she basically is like, no, I can't do it. Like all of my monkeys are rented out. And he's like, well, I have a monkey. And she's like, well, I can't train it. And he's like, well, this one's smart. And she doesn't question that. She's just like, okay.
Yeah. Basically, he takes one of the monkeys, the female monkey that he has at the university, and brings him home. And Mel starts teaching this monkey named Ella, who is the best actor in this movie. Ella is 100% the best actor in this movie.
I'd also give my life for Ella.
Yeah,
she's
Ella's
so
great.
Fucking cute. Like, what a sweetheart.
And Ella starts to help Alan with like all of his day-to-day tasks. Like she'll fetch books off his shelf.
She gets little treats in a little thing that dispenses him from the bottom of his wheelchair.
She even like cooks for him.
Yeah. Ella does it all.
Ella does it all for him.
In the
she
meanwhile,
helps comb his hair.
Yeah, like and these are all things that either his awful nurse.
The nurse is the worst.
The nurse is like the worst. She brings a pet into the home. She's like a live-in nurse, but she has to bring her bird. And I'm like, okay, I get that, but why you let your bird all around the house? Like
she brings in the worst kind of pet. Bird.
Yeah. It is just like it's always swooping and like getting in people's faces.
Tries to peck his eye out at one point.
Yeah, like I'm like, nah, I like when Ella kills the bird, because that's like the first kill of the movie, I was like, good for you, Ella. Like
the bird deserves it.
Yeah, the bird deserves the bird deserves to die. The monkeys do not.
The monkeys do not. Sorry to all the bird owners listening to this podcast. I'm not a bird person. Keep your birds out of the house. Birds are the worst. They swoop down. They have tiny brains. They eat worms. Nah, get birds out of here. I'm sorry for all the bird lovers out there.
Yeah. I mean, like I like some birds, but this one in particular in this movie sucks.
This bird sucks. Gets what it had coming to it. But yeah, like Ella basically takes the job of this nurse, which she wasn't doing much anyway, besides giving him a bath. Like that's about the only thing she could do for him anyway. Like she was the worst.
And then his mom like keeps kind of swooping in, and his mom, like, this is like one of the most this mother-son relationship is pretty
sketch.
Yeah, it's a little bit like, I don't know, like I wouldn't want my mom around if she acted like this around me. There's a little too much closeness. There's a little too she's just a little too comfortable giving him a sponge bath.
Yeah. She's like, I've seen you naked before. It's like, yeah, mom, like 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's just it's strange, and I'm just like, I don't know. And she gets like super jealous.
Stuff with the mom feels like it was cut out of the movie too.
Yeah, like there's definitely some more stuff with the mom. Because there's some context that we're missing here. And I think that mom was definitely
because she seems very willing. So the nurse disappears from the picture. She gets killed off by Ella.
Yeah.
And she's the first human Ella offs in this movie. And when the mom comes back into the equation there, she's very like resourceful to helping Alan out. Like it doesn't seem like it's a burden to her at all. Like seems like she would have done this in the first place.
Yeah.
So it makes it very strange why the nurse was there at all to begin with.
Yeah. it's very strange. I don't know. I don't. Yeah, the mom and the nurse kind of feel redundant in a
Yeah.
sense. Like it should have probably just been the mom to begin with. But I guess you have to have the birds so that Ella, because like all these horror movies, like you
Yeah.
start with an animal death and then you move up to humans.
But it could have been like the mom had a bird at the house already, and when he
Yeah, or
has to move
something
in
like
with
that.
his mom.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Meanwhile, like Melanie and Jeffrey keep coming over. Jeffrey is still like injecting the monkey with the serum. Like he's still injecting Ella with the serum, like on like a weekly basis, I think. And like over the course of like all these injections, like Ella starts getting more and more almost like excited for them.
Yeah.
Like by the end, he's even making comments like, "Oh wow, you're not even putting up complaints," because it's just like it's giving her more intelligence. It's also like somehow telepathically connecting her with like Alan's not taking the serum,
No,
but
no,
for
no, no.
some reason, like
So
the
Alan and Ella start to develop this like telepathic relationship with each other,
yeah,
where he begins to see through her eyes, like visions of her sneaking out at night.
yeah, yeah,
It doesn't make any sense and doesn't really add a whole lot to the movie because I think there's already a bond that is there between the two.
yeah,
And it's so weird. Like, again, maybe if like the brother was injecting Alan with this serum too as part of the experiment of like, maybe I can help my brother walk again with using this serum.
yeah.
That
But
would make sense.
that's not what happens at all.
No, it's very strange. It's very
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah, so and then Melanie's coming over and helping with Ella and training her to do new things. Um,
And Melanie and Alan start to hit it off.
yeah, they keep giving each other doomy eyes and things like that.
Yeah,
Um,
they eventually do.
they do it, yeah,
Well, here's the thing: we got to talk about this scene. So Alan spends a weekend away with Melanie at her house.
because Ella kills the doctor who is shacking up with his ex-wife,
Yeah,
and Alan just immediately knows
who like
that the monkey
disappear
did
for
it.
the movie for a while.
Yeah, like it's just like they aren't even in the movie for so long, and then all of a sudden, like you get a scene of Ella burning the house down while they're having sex,
Yeah,
and
because
Alan just
the tooch answers the wife's phone,
yeah, yeah,
and again, it's like he didn't know. Like, what did Alan not know this entire time? Why he had not seen his wife since the day he came home?
well, and part of it too is like Alan at some point gets a second opinion where like, oh, you were misdiagnosed with surgery, you might be able to walk again,
Yeah,
and so that pisses him off. It's like it's so convoluted. There's like so much information that keeps getting dumped that it's just like
and it's like, where was the doctor and Alan's wife a thing before his accident? And
yeah, like
there was some malpractice involved where Tucci didn't perform the surgery like as he should have.
maybe,
Yeah,
but Alan's pissed. He dreams that Ella goes over there and burns the house down, and then the next day, mom gets a call and the house burnt down, and the doctor and his
yeah.
ex are dead. And so Alan immediately jumps to the conclusion that Ella did it,
The monkey did it.
and Ella did it because he wanted it to happen. And so Ella's got to go away for a while, and he's got to go shack up with Melanie. And so they do.
And they literally do in her shack where she has like this makeshift bedroom in
Yeah.
her barn, where on the other side of this wall is a bunch of monkey cages. And and the two start like making out in his wheelchair.
Yeah.
They end up making their way to the bed.
Yeah.
And
And
of
she
course
lays him down.
he's paralyzed from the neck down.
Yep. And she's got some kind of monkey bar that she's got.
Yeah, like the bar they would use to lift him out of bed.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
And she climbs onto his face.
Yeah.
Hey, George Romero, represent.
Yeah. I mean,
Represent.
it's a good scene. It's representation. It's also intercut with all the monkeys going absolutely
Going nuts.
nuts.
It's pretty funny.
So it's pretty great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because the monkeys can hear everything that's going on. They're literally like there's a thin wall between.
Yeah.
It's not like, again, they're not in her house. They're in a barn where the monkeys are on the other side of the wall.
Yeah. It's pretty cheesy and 80s and wonderful.
But also kind of progressive in that it's showing, sexual intercourse with a paralyzed man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
a great scene. Cool. Great scene. 10 out of 10.
Great scene. Yep.
No notes. So we get to the third act of the movie, and Jeffrey decides that now's the time. We're jumping into this. He's going to take the serum.
Yeah. For whatever reason.
Reason. Well, he's about to lose all his funding, and he's about to get kicked out of the university.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is like his last ditch effort to show that, no, my work is actually working. It's scientific. It's a scientific breakthrough what I'm doing. And so he decides to take the serum. Why? What's it going to do for him? I'm not sure. Again, it would make more sense if this entire time he was giving it to Alan, but he wasn't.
Yeah, it is what it is, and he thinks that it will give him a telepathic link to Ella for whatever reason.
Yeah,
and I guess it kind of does for whatever reason.
Yeah, for reasons.
Yeah, for reasons. That's kind of how you can explain most of this movie, is just for reasons this happens.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like, Alan has deducted that. Well, oh yeah, Alan comes back to the house with Melanie, and Mom is like
fight with his mom.
Super jealous. Yeah. And when Alan gets angry, like irrationally angry at his mom, he says, "Oh my God, Ella must be here. Call Melanie, tell her the monkey's here." And Mom does not do that because he's just, basically told her the awfulest stuff and told her to fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
And so she doesn't tell that. She doesn't relay that information to Melanie. And she goes and she takes a bath. And this might be my favorite death in the whole thing.
Oh, it's the best one. Yeah.
It's so good. Because Ella sneaks into the bathroom while Alan is like yelling at his mom to get in a room and lock the door. And Mom's just taking a bath, and Ella comes in and grabs a plugged-in hairdryer and throws it into the bathtub and kills his mom.
Yeah.
Fantastic. You see her limbs all like getting electrified and stiffening up and stretching out of the tub, and yeah. Love me a good bathtub death.
It's good. It's good stuff. Jeff finds his way back to the house, finds his mom there. Yep. And we get like this cat and mouse between Jeffrey and Ella, where he's like, chasing her all throughout the house.
It's very Pet Cemetery.
Yeah. And Alan ends up like, he's back. He gets into his wheelchair and he starts rolling around the house. And at one point he's
stuck on the phone.
He's stuck on the phone because like the phone is still on a cord. Obviously, because it's 1988, and it gets hooked onto his wheelchair, and he can't like unhook it because he doesn't have use of his arms limbs to unhook. Yeah. So he just gets hooked on to the phone cord.
And the phone cord, like, I get it, the wheelchair motor probably isn't that strong, but I'm like, wouldn't a wheelchair motor be a little bit stronger than a phone cord? Like,
yeah,
those phone
at least unplug.
Yeah, those phone cords unplug pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't. It keeps him trapped within a 6-foot distance of one wall, while Jeff and the monkey have at it. And
yeah,
Ella,
they're playing this cat and mouse where Jeffrey brought this
like the sodium pentothal that he used
to put her to sleep.
Yeah,
and Ella ends up with it and injecting Jeffrey.
And Jeffrey doesn't die right away.
Yeah.
He's like
Does he
stumbling
die?
around. I mean, he's got to. Yeah, I think he dies. I'm pretty sure he dies. Because like it's supposed to kill them, I think.
Is it supposed to kill them or just put them to sleep?
No, I think it kills him, right?
I don't know. The movie's not very clear about that either.
Hold on. Let me look at this. Let me look at this. Sodium pentobarbital. Yeah, it kills him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he brought enough of that to kill a man when he's going after the monkey.
Yeah. Well, he even says, like, in his stupor after she injects him, I put enough in there to bring down King Kong. And then he stumbles around a little bit more and like he says he's gonna drive himself to the hospital, and Alan's like, no, just unhook my wheelchair. I'll call you the cops.
Yeah.
Like and yeah, he face plants into the carpet and dies.
Dies.
Bye, Jeff.
Meanwhile, Ella decides to make a candlelit dinner for her and her and Alan.
So good.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
And yeah, so Melanie arrives.
Yep.
And that causes a whole thing. And
yeah, Ella becomes jealous.
Yeah, so Alan realizes that like Ella isn't doing this because he's willing her to do it. Ella is doing this because she is an obsessive lover.
Yeah. So much so that she ends up marking her territory on Alan.
Yes. Fantastic.
Yep.
And yeah, so Melanie gets knocked unconscious, and oh yeah, when he gets the second opinion, the doctor who's going to give him the surgery says, I have to know that there's like a willingness to get better. I have to know that there is some voluntary movement in at least one of your limbs, right?
Yeah.
So,
and his hand moves at one point when he's having a fight with his mom, but she doesn't believe him. But here he again uses his hand to move and starts playing music and convinces Ella to dance with him.
Yes. And then in the most upsetting scene in the entire goddamn movie, I screamed, Casey.
I mean, yeah.
He grabs her with his teeth. He like bites her on the neck and like basically like what a ferret does to a fucking cobra, or not a ferret. I'm
gonna say what a dog does.
A mongoose does to a and just like whips her around until she's fucking dead and throws her against the tape deck. And it's just, Casey, you said it best. It's a Greek tragedy. I knew the monkey was going to die. I need that out there. I'm not stupid. I know how these movies work. I saw the writing on the wall. But when that happened, I was like sobbing.
It's pretty it's pretty graphic. It doesn't hold back.
I hated it so much, and it was so.
It's a tragedy. It
really is. It really is, and I don't know. It bummed me out. It bummed me out hardcore. I love a good downer of an ending though, and then this movie doubles down on that by letting him walk again. Like I'm like, no, you killed a monkey with your bare teeth. You don't get to walk again. Ugh.
He ends up back in surgery.
Freaking Alan.
We get a fake out of Ella bursting out of his back.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I love that.
Yeah, Alan ends up walking with crutches, and him and Melanie drive off together into the sunset.
Yeah. You know, I in our text exchange while I was watching this, I mentioned that this was basically Christine with a monkey, and that's why I was loving it so much.
Yeah.
What this movie really needed was a final shot. Like they can drive away into the sunset all happy, but then it should have like panned over to the street, and you should have seen like Ella, you know, I mean, for reasons, because that's how this movie operates. Ella could have just been on the sidewalk, like laying there, you know, and then like one of her limbs just kind of went, and then play George Thorogood, and that's a better ending.
Or they're both in the van. They look in the back seat, and there's just a stack of banana peels.
Yes, exactly. See, like I need to know that Ella lives. You know, that serum made it so that whatever the sodium didn't kill her.
Well, that didn't kill her anyway. She got
Oh yeah, that's
like
right.
neck snapped or
Yeah.
whatever, or bit. I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna make a Monkey Shine sequel eventually,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be called Revenge of Ella.
Monkey shines again.
Monkey shines again.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm gonna be super mean to Alan in
It's going to be Monkey Shines Again, another experiment in fear.
it. Yeah.
So Sam, how many clapping monkeys are you giving Monkey Shines?
I gave Monkey Shines 4 out of 5 clapping monkeys. This is exactly my type of cult movie. I understand the like mixed critical reaction to it. Like I said, it's very overstuffed with like stuff that doesn't necessarily make sense or even really need to be there. But like I just had such a blast with this movie that it's a pretty easy 4 out of 5 for me.
Yeah.
How about you?
I gave it 3.5 clapping monkeys out of 5. I thought this was, and that's what I feel like I give a lot of those like late 90s, early or late 80s, early 90s Stephen King adaptations.
Yeah.
It just has that soap opera horror melodramatic vibe that is totally my jam. I love it. I love this stuff. It's a bit overstuffed, it's a little overacted, but it's so much fun.
Yeah.
This movie is just a blast beginning to end. You don't feel, it's like, I think it's 2 hours and you don't feel the runtime at all. Like I think they cut out the right amount of stuff. We probably could have used like we've talked about more stuff about the mom or the ex-wife or the other doctor or Jeffrey's boss at the university.
Yeah.
But we don't need
Hashtag
it.
release the Romero cut.
Yeah, this is the Romero cut we need. We need the 4.5-hour version of Monkey Shines. Give it to us. Give it to us, Scream Factory.
Yeah.
But in terms of trivia, there wasn't a whole lot of trivia that we didn't cover yet. This movie does feature male monkeys, which was a rarity in Hollywood at the time because male monkeys are known to be very, very aggressive and harder to train.
Mm-hmm.
But Ella herself is a female monkey, and she is trained very well. Like Ella's the best part of this movie.
Oh yeah. Oh, do you know who voices Ella? The vocalizations? I just saw this on the Wikipedia page. It's Frank Welker.
Yeah, okay. He voices like every animal in any movie. Yeah.
I was just looking at the cast list and Frank Welker's name just popped up. I was like, what?
that sounds right. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, that is George A. Romero's Monkey Shines, an experiment in fear. Let's move on to our next film. But before we do that, we got to hear from our friends at Fangoria. Fangoria, for over 40 years, has been the leading source for all things horror. The famed magazine is back with a vengeance every quarter with new in-depth discussions on the best contemporary horror, sci-fi, and macabre, including their latest issue that is coming out this quarter, which is a tribute to the late, great David Lynch. I don't know if you've seen this cover, Sam, but yeah. I'm loving these like almost black and white monochromatic covers that they've been doing for the subscribers. They're really incredible. So if you want to pick that up or any of the latest other latest issues of the magazine, you can use our affiliate link to save 20% on your annual subscription to the magazine, back issues, and the latest Fango merch. Visit shop.fangoria.com/screams from the basement and use promo code screams from the basement at checkout to save 20%. Or you can scan that QR code if you're watching the video portion of the podcast on the screen right now. Again, thanks to our friends at Fangoria.
Yeah. And this is like not even a plug as much as it's just like if you haven't seen the David Lynch subscriber cover, it's gorgeous.
Piece of art.
Yeah. And it is, if you're going to jump on this Fangoria subscription train, this is a great issue to do it because I am so excited to get that cover in the mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to a brand new release. Just came out this past week, and we're talking 2025's The Monkey. Written and directed by Oz Perkins, with based on an original story from Stephen King from The Skeleton Key, I believe is the collection that this comes from. Right?
Yes, it is The Skeleton Key, yeah.
So after finding their dad's
Or
toy monkey,
Skeleton Crew, sorry.
Skeleton Crew.
Yeah.
What am I? What's Skeleton Key? That's a movie, right?
Yeah, it's a movie. It's a really bad movie.
Yeah. I don't know why that popped in my mind.
It's a
Anyway.
really racially insensitive movie that's
Is
trying
it?
to be racial.
I've never seen Skeleton Key.
So it's
Anyway,
it's trying
No,
something.
we're moving on.
We
Moving
should
on.
cover
We're
it
not going to talk
sometime.
about racially insensitive movies. We're talking about the monkey.
We should cover it sometime.
We should not. We will not cover that movie. Anyway, the monkey. After finding their dad's monkey in a closet, which I don't think is a metaphor for anything, but with Osgood Perkins, who knows? It could be a metaphor for something. Twins Hal and Bill Shelburne discover that this drumming monkey harnesses the power of pure evil and death in its own paws. Years later, the twins are reunited by fate at the hands of the monkey's paw, as people around them and surrounding them are beginning to be killed off in horrific and hilarious ways.
Yeah.
The
Oh
monkey.
my god.
So, spoiler alert for the monkey. We are going to go full into spoilers. Yeah. So, for the next, I don't know, probably 20 minutes or so, this is your spoiler.
Yeah, we can put a tag if people want to jump to Doobie Doing. We'll put something in show notes as to like when that's a segment starts. Yeah.
This movie is batshit insane.
Yeah, it is crazy. It is my favorite theater experience that I have had in a long time. Casey, we saw this Saturday night. We were cackling through the whole thing.
I was a little disappointed. We watched this opening weekend Saturday night at
it was
6:30.
It was 4:40. 4:40, which is like, I mean, a fairly for a Saturday. Yeah. I was disappointed that we didn't have a bigger crowd.
Really small crowd, unfortunately. It got smaller halfway through the movie.
Yes, we had a crowd full of normies. I didn't get the vibe that a lot of crowd. Yeah, I didn't get the vibe that a lot of people in our audience were very receptive to this one. And to be fair, I've seen a lot of mixed things.
Yeah. I don't know. Watching the trailer, you get the vibe of what this is.
Yeah, like I if you watch the trailer and you go into this movie and you're like, well, that's not what I was expecting. I have to ask,
serious horror.
What were you expecting? Because it doesn't. I mean, the tagline is "Everybody dies," and that's fucked up.
And that's fucked up. Great tagline.
It's one of the best taglines ever. Like I love that. And I mean, the trailer itself was very tongue-in-cheek, was very humor-heavy, was very gory. Like the first trailer that was released was a red band, and I know they released like an edited one for like TV spots and things like that. But I mean, honestly, even the edited one, it's like this is pretty clearly a like zany, over-the-top, gory.
Yeah,
like
there's a woman running with a stroller, and the stroller is on fire. Like, I don't know what movie you're expecting.
And like, what's really funny is I did read a quote from Oz Perkins. I have it pulled up here. Let me get to it. Maybe. Oh my God, where did it go? There we go. So before we start the conversation on this, I just want to say, like, this is what Osgood Perkins had to say about this. He said, "I took liberties like a motherfucker. Atomic Monster had a very serious script, very serious. I felt it was too serious, and I told them, this doesn't work for me. The thing with this toy monkey is that people all around it die in insane ways. So I thought, well, I'm an expert on that. Both my parents died in insane headline-making ways. I spent a lot of my life recovering from tragedy, feeling quite bad. It all seemed inherently unfair. You personalize the grief. Why is this happening to me? But I'm older now, and you realize this shit happens to everyone. Everyone dies, sometimes in their sleep, sometimes in truly insane ways like I experienced, but everyone dies. And I thought maybe the best way to approach that insane notion is with a smile." That's the thesis of this whole movie.
You got to look. How did his parents die?
One of them died in 9/11. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, then it wasn't Anthony Perkins, obviously.
No, I can't remember how Anthony Perkins died though.
I'll let you look that up. But
Yeah.
yeah, this again. So again, for listeners out there, it's no secret. Long Legs was my favorite movie of last year, and also no secret that Long Legs didn't 100% work for Sam.
Yeah.
And I have not seen his first Oz's first two movies, which are The Black Coat's Daughter and um what's the one right before that?
Um, the
The
Black Coat's
pretty
Daughter is the first one.
oh,
I
and
Am the
then it's
Pretty Thing That Lives in the House was his follow up.
yeah. But I
Yeah.
have seen Hansel and Gretel and
Long Legs. Yeah.
and now this. I need to go back to those other two. But from what I understand, this is nothing like what he's done before.
No,
At
this
all.
is the most 180 I think I've ever seen a filmmaker do. Like,
Here's
and
the
he's,
thing.
what,
I don't
5 movies.
I don't think it's a 180 because I've talked about this. I think Long Legs is pretty damn funny.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it's also still very serious, where it has that balance between the two. Here, nothing is serious in this movie.
No. This is from the get-go a very dark comedy.
Pitch black comedy, yeah. So we start off with Adam Scott, who I didn't know was in this movie at all. He plays the twins' father, and he is the one that has the drumming monkey at this point. And he ends up in this pawn shop, and you've seen it in the trailer. And he's like, "I just need to get rid of this thing. This thing is pure evil. It's the devil."
Adam Scott's in the trailer?
He's not in the trailer.
Oh, okay.
But the scene is in the pawn shop.
Oh, okay.
The trailer does a great job of cutting around that.
Yeah,
because the harpoon thing is in the trailer.
That's right. So Adam Scott popping up surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I love that. I like so good. Like right out the gate, you get me with an Adam Scott cameo. I'm in.
Yeah. And he's like, I just got to get rid of this thing. Like, I don't want it near my family. I don't want it near my boys. Please take it. People die in horrific ways with this thing around it. Guess what happens? The guy at the pawn shop dies in a horrific way. He gets
so good.
harpooned in the gut, and all of his like intestines get pulled out, like just in a giant string all the way across the entire pawn shop. It's incredible.
And then Adam Scott takes the monkey outside and steals a flamethrower from the pawn shop, burns it alive. You get a freeze frame of him like screaming, holding this flamethrower, and like in maybe the most metatextual thing in the movie, the voiceover goes, "Yeah, my dad left me with a lot of fucked up shit, but whose dad doesn't, right?" and then that's the cold open. That's just the cold open, and it's so insane and it's so funny. And like, if you hadn't watched the trailer and you watch that cold open, like you have to realize, like, okay, this is the movie I'm watching at this point.
Yeah, it's a tone setter. You know exactly what type of movie. It's a bit self-deprecating. It is very funny. It is also very, very gory.
Yeah. By the way, not to bring it down, but Anthony Perkins died of AIDS in 1992. And
that's not a crazy way. Like, I was expecting like he died in a plane crash where it was.
It is pretty horrific, though. It is pretty horrific.
Yeah.
So, and then Barry Berenson, his mother was in 9/11 in one of the 9/11 planes. Yeah.
Insane. That's insane.
Yeah. So so this cold open happens, and then you're immediately in the world of
Hal and
Hal, that's the other one. Hal and Bill, these two twins who are being raised by now their single mother. We have no idea what happens to dad. Like maybe we can.
She's like, he went to go buy the classic. He went to go buy cigarettes and never came back story.
Yeah,
but we don't know what his fate actually is.
Yeah, because like we don't know if that happened before or after this this incident in the pawn shop. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I find that really fascinating. Like there's there's some kind of mystery there that this movie has no interest in solving, and I kind of love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, the kids are looking through Dad's old stuff one day, and they find this monkey.
Well, we got to talk about the twins' personality for a second, because
yes.
they are complete, total opposites.
Yeah. Hal is kind of he's a bit of a nerdy kid.
Yeah.
He's got the big glasses. He's pretty quiet and reserved. And Bill seems to be more popular with kids their age.
Popular. He's a bully.
He's very much a bully. He's a dick. He's just a straight up dick. Yeah. Especially to his brother.
Yeah.
There's a really funny cutaway gag where Hal is fantasizing about dropping a bowling ball on his head. Which, now that I'm saying that, oh my god,
off. Yeah.
It pays off. I didn't know.
No. It's the same bowling ball.
It's the same bowling ball.
Because it has their mom's name on it.
I just put that together.
It's their mom's bowling
ball.
Mom's
it says bowling Lois ball. It says Lois on it. Holy fuck, dude. Yeah. I love this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Bill constantly does the classic like 90s kid thing of like going for a handshake and being whoa, like sliding his hand between his hair.
Yeah. And so you just get the sense that these are brothers who don't like each other very much.
Yeah.
Maybe even hate each other. They have nothing in common. But they both love their mother very much, and their mother loves them. They find this monkey in their dad's stuff, and Bill essentially takes claim to everything because he's the firstborn. He was born 3 minutes prior.
Yeah.
He apparently ate more of the placenta, which is just a fucked up funny thing to add to this. But yeah, they turn the key in the monkey to see what will happen, because that's all the instructions say on the box. Turn the key and see what happens. And then later that night, they're going out with their babysitter. She takes them to one of the what do you call those places where they have the grill and the people that are
like a
hibachi?
Yeah, like right? A hibachi grill.
Yeah, like a hibachi grill. And the Bill clearly has a big crush on the babysitter and is trying to hit on her all night, which is hilarious. Like total typical like 11 to 12-year-old type of thing. But the babysitter is kind of having these flirtatious looks with the chef.
Yeah.
Who gets distracted and accidentally decapitates her.
Just slices right through her neck, and her head falls onto the grill right in front of everyone in the restaurant.
Falls onto the grill, cuts away to her at the funeral,
starts
and like
sizzling.
Somehow her face is okay, and like her head's back on her body. And one of the kids even asks, like, how did they get her head back on? And the mom's like, I just don't even think about that.
Yeah.
And the stoner priest gives the funniest fucking eulogy.
Yeah, you hear part of it in the trailer.
Yeah.
You hear him saying, like, walking up to the podium, being like, "Oh, shit."
Yeah. This incident only makes Bill even more bullying of Hal, and Hal ends up turning the monkey's key in the hopes that Bill dies.
Yeah.
And it instead kills their mother in like probably the most, I'd say this is the least funny death. Like I mean, it is funny in a sense, but like it's the darkest death, I'd say.
Yeah.
The frosting bag exploding in her hand is pretty funny though. Yeah. And not only does it kill their mother, but Bill witnesses their mother die. Like it happens right in front of him. She has an aneurysm, and like blood is coming out of like every orifice of her face and head. Really upsetting. And they go back to that visual well a few different times, and it's never not like very gross and disturbing. Yeah.
And the boys go and end up living with their aunt and uncle, who are these like 1970s hippies in 1999. With their uncle, who is a swinger, played by Oz Perkins, with these giant mutton chops and big old like 70s glasses.
And their aunt is I didn't recognize her until I saw her name in the credits at the end. The aunt is played by Sarah Levy, Eugene Levy's, or Sarah Levy, I guess, Eugene Levy's daughter, who is also in Schitt's Creek, if we have any fans of that show. And she's fantastic in this too.
There's a great scene where Oz plays the uncle and like tries to give like this consoling speech to the boys, and it's so bad.
It's really bad. Like at one point he says something like, "We're gonna try our best to raise you boys, but we'll probably be bad at it."
Yeah. At least he's an honest guy.
Yeah, he's honest.
He's an honest guy.
He's great.
Bill refuses to take off his suit that he wears to the funeral because he believes if he keeps the suit on, no one else will die, because he's had to take it off twice now for his babysitter and his mother's funeral.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and even like when they get back home after the babysitter's funeral, he even says, "I was going to marry that girl."
Yeah.
So yeah, they Bill ends up turning the key one more time because he doesn't believe it. The monkey follows them to the aunt and uncle's house.
Yeah.
And Bill does not believe Hal that that's what actually happened. And so he turns the key and he's like, "No one's going to die." It cuts to Oz Perkins' face in the same church. and this is where maybe my favorite gore gag of the entire movie happens, and I think this is the point where the normie couple down from me threw up. Because right after this there was a pretty big commotion to my left.
It was definitely because of him. Yeah.
So he gets stampeded in his sleeping bag while camping
on a camping trip
by 67 wild stallions, is what they say.
And all that's left is the coroners take his sleeping bag and just like dump out like a bunch of guts and blood and
it looks like jelly.
Yeah. And 100%, maybe 10 minutes after this, this couple got up and left that were sitting a few seats down from you, that we would find out later. Yeah,
Ralph in their popcorn bucket. In
the popcorn bucket.
Yeah. So after that, the boys they chain it up, they put it back in the box, they chain it up, and they throw it down a well, and that's when you get the time jump.
Mm-hmm. To Theo James, who plays both of the brothers as an adult, I've been seeing a lot of people giving him shit about this movie.
I think both of his performances are fantastic.
Yeah, I think he's really funny in this and delivering. Yeah. I mean, I think he's pretty monotone.
Yeah.
Throughout,
especially as Hal.
Yeah,
but like I think that's the point. Yeah, is like he's just kind of numb to all of this. Even.
He's numb. He's just going through the motions of life.
Yeah. Like he's been keeping a distance from his son to like an extreme degree.
Yeah, he sees his son once a year.
If that, because like there's that shot where he like pulls up to visit his son and take him for the week, and he has a birthday card. And he literally adds an S to the "sorry I missed your birthday." Like he adds an S to it. So it's like, how many years has it been since he's actually seen this kid? Like it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah. And I mean, it's all for trying to protect his ex-wife, to protect his son, because he knows that monkey is still out there and that something dangerous could happen to them.
Yep.
And we get introduced to his ex-wife and her new hubby,
Elijah Wood,
who again I didn't know was in this movie. Elijah Wood, who is playing like this, like dad of the year author,
but he doesn't have any
health guru.
Like it's very clear that he doesn't actually have any kids, but he writes all these fatherhood books that are bestsellers.
Yeah, he doesn't even have custody of the son the son at this point. Yeah,
and he basically he's he's telling him like, I am an expert in this field.
He's
like,
so funny in this movie.
He's only in what, like one scene?
He's
and
in
he
that
almost,
scene.
That's it. And he almost runs away with the whole movie. Like, he's so funny. Yeah. So he takes the kid and immediately, well, no, because then it cuts over to the aunt again.
Yep.
And she's older now. She's living in the farmhouse by herself. She's still got a shrine up for her husband, which is great.
Still has a shrine up for her husband. Still is using hair curlers like it's 1987.
Yeah.
Those hair curlers cause those hair curlers and the hairspray that she's using to curl her hair end up bursting into flames as she is checking gas in the oven.
Not before she falls through her basement steps into a box of fish hooks. And then she uses rubbing alcohol to clean all the wounds.
That's right. And then her head gets lit on fire. And then she runs throughout the house and finds her way outside and completely like gets stabbed through the face
and by herself on the
on her for sale sign outside of her house.
That might be my favorite death of the whole movie. If I'm
it's
being
wild.
Honest. It's so funny.
It is so wild.
Yeah, it's great. So yeah. Hal is now with his son Petey, and they're at this like really crappy ramshackle motel. And he gets a call from Bill. First time they've spoken in years. And Bill lets him know that their aunt has died and the monkey is back and he needs to go to her house and make sure that it's destroyed. And he's like, well, I'm with my kid right now. Like, I'm not going to do that. And while that's happening, there's this woman getting ready to swim. And there's a little bit of Final Destination, like, oh, what's going to happen going on. Although I get the Final Destination comparisons with this movie. I don't necessarily, I think that's underselling like what this movie is doing. I really do. Like it is a funny, like kind of, oh, what's the next death going to be kind of movie. But I feel like there's a lot more under the hood than in a typical Final Destination movie. Like this feels
for sure.
Yeah. You know, like there's actually something that it's saying it. Yeah. Yeah. So the air conditioning unit on the top of the roof above their like room that he's just turned on because it's hot in the room wiggles loose and comes down. It falls into the pool. It electrifies the pool. And he notices this right as the woman's getting ready to dive in. And he goes, no, wait. And she hits that water and just explodes.
Just explodes into a million pieces. Like her arm goes flying in the air.
Her leg almost hits him. He has to like duck out of the way of her leg that just like hits the motel behind him.
It's so freaking funny.
So after that, he gets Petey and he's like, we're getting the fuck out of here. And he freaks out and they go to a different motel. And he basically is reserved to the fact that like he has to go back and he has to find this monkey in order to keep his son safe.
Meanwhile, the aunt, after she's passed, there's an estate sale at the house. And what's his name from Halloween Kills?
Rowan Campbell. Yeah.
Rowan Campbell is playing like this like
stoner weirdo.
He's playing Wayne Campbell. He's playing Wayne Campbell.
Much.
And
the wig is terrible.
It looks like Mike Myers' wig, like his SNL wig when he's playing Wayne.
It really
it's insane
does.
How close it looks to that. And he's totally playing that type of vibe. And he finds the monkey, and he ends up buying the monkey there. And the monkey ends up falling into the hands of Bill.
Yeah.
And Bill goes about using the monkey to try to finally like put an end to his brother because Bill figures out that his brother this whole time was the one that killed their mom and was trying to kill him. So now he's
Yep.
enacting his revenge, and in doing so, starts killing off so many people
multiple
in the town
townspeople
in horrific ways. Like some dude's face is underneath a lawnmower.
Yeah. Like, and all of these are being recounted by the real estate agent that's in charge of the estate, and she is just so chipper, like like recounting these deaths to, well, this one happened and then this one. And meanwhile she's showing him around, and they're trying to get into a locked closet, and she gets the closet door open, and there's a shotgun in there, and it just falls over,
falls
and
down,
kaboom.
shoots her face off.
She's gone. She's annihilated. Hal is just covered in blood. The police tell him like he can't leave town, and he's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
I'm trying to remember what are some of the other ways that people die? Because I remember the fate, like the dude's face underneath the lawnmower.
Yeah. There's like a face under a lawnmower. I can't remember all of them.
There's so many. Like
there
so
is, like, because she recounts, like, she's like, oh yeah, there's been like one weird accidental death, like at least once a day, sometimes twice.
Yeah.
And yeah. So basically, like, then you find out that Bill is living in town. He is never left. He actually hired the weird stoner guy to find the monkey for him. But now the weird stoner guy's like obsessed with the monkey because it reminds him of his dad.
Yeah. And he has like a flashback, like when he has the monkey at home.
It's so weird. It's so funny.
So weird.
Like, and
we gotta talk about Bill for a second.
We have to talk about Bill's reveal.
So Bill, when we find out that Bill's evil, he's the one that now has the monkey, and he has like this total,
he's gone completely nuts.
He's lost his mind. He has this like entire shrine to the monkey in his warehouse that he's hanging out in now. And he has like all these old TVs lined up for some like it's all these
they're
like,
all security cameras
for him in this tiny town. And he ends up wearing his childhood suit that he wore to the funeral of his mom and babysitter, that he also he puts it on, doesn't fit obviously, so he sews this like Guy Fieri flame shirt to it to cover his
fill it out. Yeah. And he looks ridiculous.
He's got Theo James wearing this tiny little boy suit
with like a really greasy mullet, like
with the worst mullet ever.
Yeah, it's so funny. And like Theo James, he's not an actor that has ever like stood out to me as like, oh, I got it. Like this dual role performance, like I think his Hal is so monotone and so, like, for lack of a better term, boring, so that when he comes in as Bill later, like that juxtaposition hits that much harder. And I just think it's brilliant. Like, so I love both of these performances because they work in tandem so fucking well together. So yeah, basically, like, Bill has been trying to kill Hal, and he realizes that maybe he is not the person that needs to turn the key in order to do that. And he finds out that Hal's son, Petey, is here, and that they have a very estranged relationship. And so his idea is, I'm going to get Petey to turn the key, and that will kill my brother. Meanwhile, the stoner guy, what is his name? I know that his name is somewhere.
The stoner guy ends up you're looking for that. The stoner guy ends up kidnapping Hal and Petey.
Ricky, that's his name.
At gunpoint. Ricky ends up kidnapping them at gunpoint, posing as a police officer.
His dad's old cop uniform, which is why he hates cops.
Yeah. And he drives to this warehouse that Bill is at and makes Petey go inside.
Yep.
And so when Petey is inside, he ends up turning the monkey key. And Hal and what's his name? The stoner guy?
Ricky.
Ricky are in the police car. And Ricky ends up firing the gun inside the car, shoots a hole through the windshield into a beehive that just happens to be hanging right above the car. And in doing so, unleashes thousands of bees that fly through that little hole straight into the mouth of Ricky.
Yep.
And literally like destroy him from the inside.
They like turn his head into a beehive. Like it's so gnarly. Like they're coming out of his skin, and like his jaw at one point just like falls off. Like, oh, it's so gnarly. It's so gross, and it's so funny. Also, like while Petey is going through Bill's warehouse, he realizes that there are traps being set. Like he's got swords that are like rigged to fall down, and like axes coming through walls, and a bowling ball in a cannon. Mom's bowling ball in a cannon.
Bill was just asking for it with all those booby traps.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like if you're afraid of a horrific death, why would you set up a bunch of death traps in the place you reside?
Yeah.
He so like after Ricky dies, Hal is like, I've had enough. I have to make sure my kid is okay. And he breaks into the place. He gets there, and him and Bill have a big old standoff where Bill is just so upset that Petey turning the key did not kill Hal that he tries to start forcing the monkey's hand down to kill it. He's just begging it to kill anybody. And in doing so, the monkey just annihilates half the town in this like,
it starts
like
going
a plane
crazy.
Crashes down, and there's just fire everywhere.
Bodies start falling through the ceiling.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the skydiving thing. The skydiving thing where you can get married. Like a groom falls through a skydiving instructor, and then a bride comes through still hanging from the parachute. Such a good payoff.
It is, because the son earlier finds the skydiving like pamphlet and is like, hey, you can even get married skydiving.
Yeah, it's so funny. So yeah, then they have like a genuine moment where there's like a catharsis between them.
Yeah,
they apologize for all the wrongs they have done to each other. They're basically like, I'm here for you.
Yeah,
I love you.
We should have been there for each other when we didn't have anyone else.
Yeah. And like, and Bill still does the fake out handshake twice. And then finally like accepts the hand, and he gets up, and he's like, so we're all just gonna head out together. And the monkey hand goes down. And the swords drop, and it fires the cannon, and the bowling ball just takes Bill's head off.
Completely off.
And it's like in the wall, and you see like an eyeball plastered and like some ears and just a bunch of brain matter behind this bowling ball that just says Lois. And then
Bill or Hal and Petey drive off, reconnected father and son, with the monkey in the back seat as they're going to keep an eye on it while the town is like just burning around them. There's like planes falling out of the sky, houses on fire. There's a tractor, like you can see a tractor like way in a field, and it's just on fire.
Yep. There's a woman that runs past with the shot from the trailer with the baby carriage that's on fire. And then they stop at like this.
Yeah, they stop at like this 4-way stop. There's a ghost on a horse.
Yeah, it's like death itself, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. And he just slowly trots past them and walks, and the light turns green and they start going. And I'm immediately thinking they're going to get T-boned, and that's going to be our cut to black, right? But no, they drive right through, and then all of a sudden you see a bus full of cheerleaders, and they're hanging out the window. Yeah. They're cheering and everything. And a fucking semi comes by and just takes them all out.
Decapitates all of them.
And that's your cut to black. 5 out of 5 drumming monkeys. No fucking notes. I loved this movie. It was one of those movies that I would have immediately gone and seen the next screening had we not been already going to something else
Yeah.
afterwards. Like I legitimately think I would have just stayed in the theater and watched that one twice.
Yeah, I would definitely watch this again in the theater. It's crazy that we're only halfway through February, and I feel like this is gonna for sure make both of our top tens. And like, I have a feeling this is gonna be
If this isn't
pretty damn high on both of our top tens.
if this isn't top 3 for me at the end of the year, I will be genuinely surprised. Genuinely. Like this movie hit all the right notes for me. I loved it. I was emotionally invested. I was laughing through the whole thing. Like Oz Perkins just nailed the tone on this, and it never wavers throughout. Every performance is pitch perfect. Every performance is just like tuned in to what this movie is.
Yeah.
And I have, like I said, no notes. 5 out of 5. How many drumming monkeys do you give this one, Casey?
I gave this 4 out of 5 drumming monkeys, mostly because I just wanted more Elijah Wood in this movie. I think that's my biggest thing. We could have used a little more Elijah Wood.
That is my one thing. Is like I do kind of wish that Elijah Wood would have had a death scene because God, he's so douchey in the one scene.
He is. Yeah, I loved this movie. This was so much fun. Easily my favorite of the year so far. Not going to be shocked if this is at least top 5 by the end of the year.
Yeah,
it's so good. Sure. Please go out to theaters. There we go. 1 hour 17 minutes. We'll timestamp that there. Yeah. Please go out to theaters. Both highly recommend The Monkey.
Yes,
go out there, support horror films like this. This has already been such a huge year for horror, and we are literally a month and a half into the year.
Yep, 100%.
All right, Sam. Is there something we should take while watching The Monkey again?
Yeah, honestly, the whole time we were watching The Monkey, I thought, you know what? This would be better with a little bit of Turp Boys. That's right. Are you looking for that extra buzz while watching something like The Monkey? How about melting your mind by watching a David Cronenberg movie? Turp Boys Delta 8, 9, and THCA gummies, vapes, chocolates, and more has you covered. This plant-based product is made from the purest organic hemp-based extracts and backed by third-party laboratories. You can visit buyturpboys.com/screamsfromthebasementpod and use promo code screamsfromthebasementpod at checkout to save 10% on your order. Thank you, Turp Boys, for supporting the show and giving us that extra buzz when we're watching something zany like The Monkey.
There's one note that I have on The Monkey that we didn't talk about, and that's the fact that it used a drumming monkey.
Yes, I do love that.
And that's because the clapping monkey is now owned and copywritten by Disney.
Because of Toy Story?
Because of Toy Story.
Yep, makes total sense. Makes total sense.
So they had to make up a monkey that did something else besides clapping.
I actually like the drumming monkey though. I think it's cool. I love the little like stick twirl that it does. And I don't know. I think the visual aspect of it is really neat. So I kind of like that. I like because like Adam Scott has that line in the cold open where he's like, when that monkey's paw comes down, we are fucked. And so you're like staring at this thing, like literally waiting for the paw to drop. Whereas like Symbols, I don't know if that would be as I don't know. I like that.
Well, Sam, what else do we got going on in the pod?
Well, Casey, I gotta ask, what have you been doobie doing lately?
Well, I'm looking at our notes here, and you and I have been doobie doing the exact same thing.
We really have.
We have. I mean, we talked about it already. We made it a double feature the night we went to The Monkey. We watched The Monkey at the Cinemark, and then made our way to downtown Sioux Falls to watch Cure. the 4K restoration at the Sioux Falls State Theater. First time watch for both of us.
Yes.
And we got to say, so this movie was going to be the topic of this episode.
It was,
We were like, hey, we're already going to this movie. We'll pair it with something else and we'll do a double feature on it. We both immediately watched that movie, and in the car ride afterwards, we're like, should we pick something else?
Yeah.
This movie just did not work for me. It was, I don't know. It could have been the situation. It was 9:00 on a Saturday night. Could have just been that we came off the high of watching something like The Monkey, and this is a completely different tonal shift. I don't know, but I was just not vibing with this movie at all. It was too slow for me. I was not interested in the serial killer vibe of it. It just didn't hold a grasp on me at all. And that disappoints me because I've heard so many great things, and obviously so many people that left the theater were, giving this great reviews, but it did absolutely nothing for me.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. Like, there were definitely things that I liked about it, especially in the setup. Like the introduction of the hypnosis elements were really cool because it's essentially like, and I don't feel like I'm spoiling this because they basically solved the. I think my biggest issue with it is like basically the mystery is solved within the first half of the movie.
Yeah,
that it's a serial killer using hypnosis. And then after that, it is a lot of like talking about hypnosis, and the back half didn't quite click for me. Like, I get what it was going for. I understand everything. Like, I didn't find it confusing. Like, I didn't find anything like, it just
wasn't interesting.
Yeah. And I do want to watch it again sometime when it's not so late at night. You know me. I like to be in bed by like 9:00.
Yeah.
So like starting a movie like that at 9:00 is always
starting
a
foreign language film.
Yeah, exactly. Especially one that's like as methodical and like deliberately paced as that one is. It just, I do want to watch this again in the future under different circumstances. Maybe not after a movie that literally had me giggling. Like, I mean, we went to Fernson with a bunch of friends and we're hanging out, and I just kept bursting into giggles because of like The Monkey and what we just watched. Like, I could not get over it. And it was really hard for me to shift modes into something that's like, okay, this is like a serious movie. So I do want to give this another shot in the future. I'm glad we went and saw it at the State. But yeah, for me, it didn't quite hit all the right notes for me. So that's why we aren't doing a whole episode on it, because that's kind of where we were at. And that's not a very interesting conversation, I don't think,
A movie that was a fun time at the theater that we both enjoyed quite a bit. Sam, you watched this on premium VOD. I went out to the theaters for this. This is Companion. And stars Sophie Thatcher, Jack Quaid. And
I have one more thing on my.
You're going to add another thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't even want to talk about this movie because there is a couple reveals. I know the trailer does pretty much give away that reveal, but again, like Jack Quaid said in his Fangoria interview, don't even watch the trailer, know nothing about it. I'm going to say the same thing. Go watch it. It is so much fun. It is a movie that is very funny. Also, again, probably falls in that black comedy territory.
Oh yeah, very much so. Very much so.
This is like if Megan was actually, if Megan was good.
Yes,
I like Megan. I like Megan, but if Megan understood the tone, I think that's the biggest problem with that movie is it didn't have a firm grasp on tone. Companion 100% does.
Yes, Companion keeps the same tone throughout, and it juggles a lot of different genres like very well. And that's about all I want to say about it is like it's full of great performances. It is a big genre mashup that just works on every level. I really like this movie. This is another one that I will be surprised if when we're making our top 10 lists, this is not in mine. Like, I will be genuinely surprised. It's very good. Go into it as blind as possible. Even if you've seen the trailer that does the big reveal, there are quite a few surprises that still happen throughout. So, like, even if you like listen to this and you're like, oh well, I know the big one, don't worry about it. There are some turns that I did not expect.
Yeah.
So yeah, loved Companion.
And then my last two movies I want to bring up here. Again, I'll be pretty quick about them because we have interviews out for one of them is already out, and then another one will drop next week. So these are our two podcast interviews. One of them is for Trauma's brand new film, Bring on the Damned. We had director, writer Brandon Bassam on our podcast to talk about this horror anthology. He's on tour right now with it. So if people want to watch it, it's on tour, and then we'll be hitting Trauma now. I think he said late in the year or early 2026. So yeah, this movie is a ton of fun. Keep it on your radar. It is it's one of those anthologies that everyone's going to have a different favorite to it. And once you watch it, you 100% will know which one is Sam and I's favorite because it's just it's our vibe. This movie is a ton of fun.
I'll just say the like some of the segments didn't quite work for me. The one in the dead center of it and the one that finishes the movie are incredible. Yeah. And I loved both of them. So keep
that on your radar. Bring on the Damned. Yeah. And then another one we just recorded an interview for that will be out next Friday is a UK horror film, The Cellar. And this one is like a psychological horror thriller mixed with
kind of a survival thriller too.
Thriller mixed with a little like
demonology,
extraterrestrial, like otherworldly. It has a lot of vibes. It has very much a Resident Evil vibe to this movie. And we just had a chance to chat with the director and star of that film, so that interview will be out next week.
Yep.
And again, that film is hitting film festivals right now and should be streaming in the next couple months.
Yeah, so we'll probably signal boost both of them when they hit streaming, just because they're both good and we recommend checking them out. They're both very enjoyable movies in their own very different ways.
Yeah.
So
and you got to lift up indie horror, like that's
exactly.
That's part of the reason why we do our interviews on the pod anyway.
Yep, for sure.
Sam, what about you? I see you got a couple TV shows you've been doing.
Yeah. Well, the Twilight series, so over Valentine's weekend, Maria and I binged the Twilight movies. It was the first time either of us had seen. Well, I think it was the first time.
Twilight series.
The movies.
I had Twilight Zone in my head.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no.
Twilight.
No, the vampire, the sparkling vampires, Native American werewolves. So I in high school,
we got to do an episode on these at some point. Man.
We really do. Here's the thing: people can hate on these movies all they want, but if you were a little emo teenager like I was in 2007, these books and these movies were your fucking world. You know, like. Harry Potter has a very problematic figurehead at the top of it now. So I'm going to say that Twilight is the most important book series of my high school career. I love these books. I did not like the last book, but I gotta tell you, this was the first time I'd watched any of the sequels since theaters, probably. I've watched the first one quite a bit because I just really like that movie in general. It's just
that one was always on TV too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like FX had that on
all the time. Yeah, I think these movies, for the most part, hold up for what they are. I think when you get into into the final one, and you get the whole werewolf imprinting thing, that's a little sketchy, and I don't quite like what they do with that, and it's pretty bad. That aside, like I kind of got teary-eyed at the end of Breaking Dawn Part 2, and I know part of that was just like nostalgia, like, oh my god, like these movies just like, I don't know. I saw all of these in theaters. I read the first 2 books, and I bought Eclipse and Breaking Dawn like street date when they were released, like drove to the local bookstore to get my copy. Like
I haven't
these
watched the last 2 movies yet. I haven't seen
Oh,
either
you
of the
haven't?
Breaking Dawns. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I went on a binge and watched the first 3 and then just stopped. But I do want to. I want to go back to them.
Breaking Dawn can be a bit rough. I will just say that. There was
Listen,
one point.
The second one is pretty rough.
I liked the second one a lot more on this rewatch.
Listen,
but I am also firmly Team Jacob. I
You're a
am
Team
so
Jacob
firmly
guy,
Team
though.
Jacob. And it's not even close. Edward is a toxic motherfucker, and Jacob is the best thing that ever happened to Bella. God damn it.
Team Edward all the way.
Also, abs.
I think we need to do a podcast at some point fighting for our respective teams.
Oh, I will bring the debate. It is Team Jacob all the way. Yeah.
I will bring the terrible baseball bats and baseball uniforms to this fight.
Okay, the sexy baseball scene set to Muse, though. Cinema.
That might be the cringiest scene in cinematic history. But I
you
love
say
it.
Cringiest, but I think awesomest.
Listen, I like it. It's the cringiest thing ever put to film.
Yeah, I don't know. I love the Twilight series, and I'm probably gonna. I don't know. I think I probably am gonna reread the books after having rewatched the movies, because I was watching them. I'm like, I just need to read these again.
Fair enough.
Made my little emo heart so happy. So we're only 3 episodes in, and you're gonna hear me talk about this on the next couple of episodes because I'm going to keep watching it as it airs. But Yellow Jackets started back up. We are in season 3. They released the first 2 episodes on Valentine's Day, and then the third one just released last week. On this show, I talked about problems that I had with the end of the second season in the modern day storyline. There are still a few of those that I have. I still have a few like things in the modern day storyline where I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, we're spinning our wheels. They've done some things with characters that I haven't been particularly fond of. That said, the 90s storyline is still so strong. That cast of young actresses is incredible. And honestly, like the cast in the older counterparts is incredible too. I just don't think they're given as much to do as the younger counterparts. I hope that this season keeps up with having more Elijah Wood, because he came into this show at the end of season 2 and was just a spark of good energy. He's paired up with Christina Ricci, and those two just have incredible chemistry together. And they're so fucking weird and kind of fucked up, and I can't wait to see what they do together. So Yellow Jacket season 3, off to a pretty strong start. I like this a lot more than I did the end of season 2. And I was kind of trepidatious going into it because of my issues with the end of season 2. And the minute that the theme No Return hit, I was just back in. I was like, yep, this is my show. I fucking love it. I'm going to be watching this every week. So see how, I guess in the next few weeks, y'all are going to see how I fluctuate depending on where this season goes. I hope it stays as strong as it is right now, because episode 3 was a fucking banger. Like, holy shit. So yeah, excited to see where that goes. And that's what I've been doing.
Well,
Casey, you should watch Yellow Jackets.
I don't have Showtime or whatever the hell it's on.
Don't I? Yeah, you do, because haven't I shared my Paramount Plus with you?
Is that what it's on?
Yeah, I just have the Showtime add-on on Paramount Plus.
I do. Don't you see my my Doodlebob profile?
Yeah. I was about to say, every time I log in, I see yours. So
it's on there. Okay.
Yeah. The reason I have the Showtime add-on is Yellow Jackets.
I didn't know you had that. Like, I'm not watching anything on Showtime. I don't hardly ever open Paramount Plus anyway.
That's fair. I don't either, unless Yellow Jackets is airing.
Yeah.
I should have probably just like canceled it between seasons because I don't think I opened it until this February.
You should just get the Showtime app.
I should, but I also like some of the classic sitcoms that
Yeah.
Paramount Plus has. So, you know.
Okay, never mind. We've been watching Cheers on there. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
all right. Well, that's been the pod. I've been watching Cheers, so you can add that to my doobie doo. I've been watching Cheers.
Cheers is such a good, like, that's such a comfort show for me. I love that.
I do too. Yeah. So thank you all for monkeying around with us on this episode. Sam, let's get to some of the plugs for the podcast. The first thing I want to plug here is our Screams by Night halfway to Halloween Con coming up April 26th at the Social in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Tickets are on sale now. We've been getting a steady flow of ticket purchases coming in, so we can't wait to see you all out there at the con. Right now, we have a little promotion going. Well, we have two promotions going on. First of all, we're at 72 people going on Facebook. And obviously, that's just a number. That's just a number. And the reason I bring it up is we want to get to 100 going on there, because once we get to 100 people going on our Facebook event, we will announce our next celebrity guest for the Screams by Night halfway to Halloween Con. So share it with your friends. If you are interested, the interested thing on the Facebook events, switch that over to going. And then once we get to 100 going, we're almost there. We're so close. I feel like we'll get there by the time this episode comes out, or maybe this will be our last little push to get us over that. So once we're over 100, next guest will be announced. But we've been announcing our vendors like crazy. We'll start announcing panels pretty soon. Again, Mark Torgel, Melvin the Mob Boy is coming.
Yeah.
It's going to be so much fun. This is going to be a great weekend of horror in Sioux Falls. And along with that, if you have not gotten your tickets yet, one way you can double down on the horror goodness for that weekend, head over to terror29.com and you can visit with our friends at Terror29, where you can buy a ticket to their halfway to Halloween haunt, which you can go through the haunt for the first time in 2025 and get a ticket to Screams by Night. So 2 tickets for the price of one. $20 only gets you into both events that weekend. That's a hell of a deal. So if you want to go through a haunted house on Friday night and head to the con on Saturday, that's the way to do it. So terror29.com, first 29 people to get their tickets will get both together.
Yeah.
Get the combo deal. Get the combo 2 for 1.
Yep. It's going to be great. Casey and I went through the haunt last year for their halfway to Halloween. And, it changes between the halfway to Halloween
so if you're there
and then
in
their
October,
season.
if you're there in October, it's going to be a completely different haunt.
Yep, and they just do a tremendous job. They are a great haunt. Scares the shit out of me every time. So, yeah, well worth it. Well worth it.
Also, let's get to Patreon. Patreon.com/Screams from the Basement. You can join our exclusive content there. For $1 a month, you can get our monthly newsletter and a signed 8x10 artwork designed by our own Sam Lenz. Or for $5 a month, you can get our monthly bonus episode, written reviews, and collection vlogs. We just released our bonus episode counting down our top 10 VHS tapes in our personal collections. It's like an hour long, in depth on 10 of our favorite VHS tapes that we have in our personal collections. It's a great ride, and if you're a tape head like us, it's a must watch. So again, only $5 a month. Patreon.com/Screams from the Basement, or scan that QR code on the screen, or visit the link in the episode description.
Yeah. You can also subscribe to this podcast on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Hitting subscribe helps us get discovered. Leave a 5-star rating. Leave us a review. It just, all of it helps boost us and find more horror freaks to join our little horror freak coven, or whatever you want to call it.
Join us in the basement.
Yeah, join us in the basement. YouTube, if you want to see our faces, that's cool. We have the video component for you people that for some reason like looking at us. You can also check out our merch at tpublic.com. Just search Screams from the Basement. We've got a bunch of stuff. We'll have some con exclusive, well, not con exclusive, but we'll have some Screams by Night.
I will do that. I'll do that for this episode. I'll put our Screams by Night
logo up,
t-shirt up on our TeePublic. So by the time this episode comes out, we'll have that up on the TeePublic store as well.
And hopefully by the time this episode comes out, I will have finalized the poster, and we might be able to have another design up on the TeePublic store. So yeah, pretty excited about that. It is it's a labor of love. So
you could say it's toxic.
You could say it's toxic. You could say it's a little toxic, Casey.
A little toxic. Okay, we'll tease people with that.
You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky. We'll be posting our schedules there. We'll update you with anything, any episodes. All of our Screams by Night announcements will be on there. And also just random shit that we post, like when we go to movies and we take dopey selfies. So follow us there.
The monkey popcorn buckets.
Yeah. So yeah, just follow us on social media. Just search Screams from the Basement. We're on, like I said, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky. And yeah.
And then also check out our sister podcast, The Bad Signal, where we're interviewing bad hand books, authors, and creators, and everything from the world of bad hand books. Our last episode that we had out was with returning guest, first two-timer to that pod, Clay McLeod Chapman, who has a hit novel out right now.
Yeah.
Which I'm blanking on the name of.
Oh, Wake Up and Open Your Eyes.
Wake Up and Open Your Eyes. We chat with Clay about that, which is taking the horror publishing world by storm right now. And his short story, the Nocturnal Gardener Inside Long Divisions, which was just nominated for a Bram Stoker Award. So was Clay for his work on Kill Your Darling, which we interviewed him with. That
was our very first episode.
On our first episode. So
yeah. So,
exciting stuff going on all around. Screams from the Basement, The Bad Signal, Bad Hand Books, Screams by Night. We got so much shit going on.
Yeah. And yet we can still get state representatives to admit they can't read.
We got them. We got these fascists saying that they can't read, so. All right. Well, let's wrap this thing up. Sam, you want to give us that sign off?
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. And sweet screams.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal: providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.